that yesterday, 10 years ago, was when the remodel of this facility was completed. Of course, we weren't here, but we always hear a lot of great stories about it. And the date was 10/10/10. So congratulations to everyone.
That's awesome. Yeah, I did not know that. But I do know that we're grateful for our beautiful spiritual home here. It is a perfect 10.
Yes, it is.
She wrote it. We are pleased to have Starlight as our musicians today. So let's go outside and join Lisa and John in the backyard.
Good morning and welcome to Unity Center of Walnut Creek. It is our pleasure, Starlight, to play for you today, and we're going to start with Two Branches.
Two branches. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm in you, you're in me. We're two branches on just one tree. Look around, all you see is part of you and part of me. 'Cause we're two branches on just one tree. On just one tree. I look in your heart and I see me. I'm in you, you're in me. We're two branches on just one tree. Look around, all you see is part of you and part of me. 'Cause we're two branches on just one tree. On just one tree. I look in your heart and I see me. I'm in you, you're in me. We're two branches on just one tree. Look around, all you see is part of you and part of me. We're two branches on just one tree. We're two branches on just one tree.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa and John. Now let's ground in unity. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living. And our vision for the world is, we envision a spiritually awakened world where all life thrives in conscious oneness. And our mission is who we have come here to be. So let's say this together. We are a loving, inclusive community, expanding and living our divinity in sacred service for all. Our core values are love, connection, service, and wisdom. And if you're with us for the first time, welcome. You are invited to fill out a connection card. Connection cards can be found on the Watch Live page, and they're available for everyone. You may submit a prayer request, and our prayer team will pray with you throughout the week. You may also request information and submit feedback.
All right. Well, our classes and events, as you probably well know by now, are exclusively online at this time. You can also call in via Zoom for most of our events. And here's just a few announcements and exciting things that are coming up that you'll want to probably be a part of. Unity and the Islamic Center of Walnut Creek are teaming up together to help bring Thanksgiving trimmings to families, so that families in need in our community, so that they can enjoy a Thanksgiving dinner. So you are invited to purchase the items that are listed on our website, the non-perishable items, and pack them in a grocery bag, or do several bags if you're feeling ambitious. I think our goal is about 1,000 families to reach, so
Wow.
it's a big goal. And you can drop them off on this coming Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon with our men's group led by John Rexroth. So that's this Saturday, October 17th from 10 to noon. The costs we estimate to be about $12 a bag for the items. And shopping is preferred and dropping off bags is preferred. But if you can't get out and shop and you want to contribute, you can certainly write a check to Monument Crisis Center and bring that over during the drop-off time as well. The need is really great for food security in our wider community during COVID. So we really give thanks for that extra effort that you put in to participate in this important interfaith project.
This year we'll be offering a 2021 Animals of Unity calendar as both a way to showcase/show off your animals as a fundraiser for our community. A donation of $5 per animal guarantees your animal friend a place in this year's edition. The calendars will be printed on high-quality gloss paper in time for holiday giving. A portion of the proceeds for each calendar will benefit ARF. Please see our website for information on how to submit your photos and to bid on your favorite friend gracing the front or back cover. Deadline for submissions is November 15th.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to some of our board members for these creative fundraisers they're coming up with. Normally, this time of year, we have a fall fundraiser, so we've had the Unity masks that are still going, and then, of course, now this fun animal calendar process. So just thank you to Susan Angelos and Danae Legion and others who have contributed to those ideas and are following through. So, could you use an infusion of nature's beauty and awe about now? I mean, it's a great time, right? It's fall, it's cooling off, there's that beautiful fall sun in the midst of the breeze. Well, I want to invite you to really step into that with me this coming Sunday from 2 to 6. I'll be leading the Interfaith Retreat this time around. So the whole year is a theme of eco-spirituality and Mother Earth, celebrating and honoring Mother Earth. And so if you've been to my nature immersions before, you have a little bit of a flavor of what we'll do. And it'll just give us a chance to really connect with soul, with earth, with ourselves, with interfaith friends in this time. And to deepen maybe even in that time our relationship with nature. Often we learn something new about ourselves when we do these kinds of activities. So part of it will be some outdoor time, and part of it will, and a lot of it will also be on connecting together on Zoom. So you can find out more about this on our website, and you can also register there.
Excuse me. It's voting season, not just for the nation, but for Unity of Walnut Creek. So mark your calendar for our annual meeting that will be held on Zoom Sunday, November 1st at 1:30 p.m. This Wednesday, members will receive an email with a link to view the 2021 budget along with electronic ballot to vote for 3 new members for our Board of Trustees. Voting will take place through October 28th. Members and non-members are welcome to attend the meeting on November 1st.
Please see our website for a full listing of all these and many more events and opportunities. If you are not receiving our weekly e-news, you can sign up for that with a connection card, and that link is on the Watch Live page, and that way you can sign up and stay informed. Following our service today, as we do every Sunday, is a virtual patio conversation. You can join in about 12:45. Meet new and old friends, have some nice conversation, maybe a cup of coffee, or by then maybe you're having lunch. And also you can pray with a prayer chaplain during that time.
Now, as we prepare for a time of meditation, let's ground in our statement of faith. Invite you to take a deep breath together, settling into our hearts, and another deep breath. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God.
We'll remain in this meditative state as we move into a reading, followed by some more music by Lisa and John, guided meditation and silence. So I'll start us off with a reading. This is by Father Richard Rohr. He's the presiding father, I guess you could say, priest at the Center for Contemplative Action. And this is a writing on humility and honesty. The only people who grow in truth, he says, are those who are humble and honest. This is a traditional Christian doctrine, and he says it is, in effect, the maxim of Alcoholics Anonymous. Without those two qualities, humility and honesty, we just don't grow. And if we try to use religion to aggrandize the self, we will end up just the opposite, proud and dishonest. Humility and honesty are really the same thing. A humble person is simply someone who is naturally honest about their own truth. You and I came along a few years ago, and we're going to be gone in a few more years. The only honest response to such a mystery is humility. Growth in the spiritual life takes place not by acquisition of something new. It is only discovered by the release of our current defense postures, by letting go of fear and our attachment to self-image. Then the inner gift lies present. In Unity, we know this inner gift to be our divinity. It is humbling to realize that we have it, that we are made of it, and that we are divine. And so it is.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How deeply you're connected to my soul.
How could anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful? This is how the divine beholds us, always. That we are whole and perfect in every way. We are beautiful and precious. When we behold one another with these same divine eyes. What a gift we give. There is no judgment, only the wholeness and the love, the connection, the beauty. We see only that light and that truth shining through. For indeed we are whole, and we are beautiful creations of the One. So let us rest now, steeping in the worthiness out of which we were created, born of original blessing, made in the image and the likeness of God. So as we enter our silent time, it is a homecoming, a melding into that wholeness and truth, the fullness of who we are, the depth of who we are. We are remembering in the silence. It's hard to imagine the depth of our worth. When we are renewed with remembrance of our innate beauty and wholeness. When we see ourselves as a reflection of the One, it's so much easier for us to share that love with all of those around us. There will be times when we forget, and that's when we shine that mirror reflection to one another. From the divine, the Christ of our beings, to the divine or the Christ, or the being next to us, in front of us. That we are able to lift each other up into the wholeness and the truth and the beauty of who we are. And to remember that we are all created in this image and likeness. And where we see something less than that, we have simply forgotten. Let's remember again. Let's move forward from this place, knowing our fullness, knowing our wholeness, knowing our beauty. And so it is.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Well, thanks so much to Jack Nichols for the visuals for that meditation, and Peter Weiler, who does so many of our visuals and sound balancing throughout the entire production that you experience each week. So big thanks to those who are in the house and who were acknowledged earlier, but also a lot of those who are behind the scenes. So there was a cantor who was witnessing his rabbi, who was on his knees crying out, "I'm nobody, I'm nobody." And the cantor was impressed. He said, "Well, that's a good idea." And he came and he knelt next to the rabbi, and he too began to yell out, "I'm nobody, I'm nobody." The custodian was walking by and he saw the two doing this, and he felt so moved that he went and he also knelt by the cantor and the rabbi, and he began to yell out, "I'm nobody, I'm nobody." The rabbi opened his eyes and he thought, He nudges the cantor. "Look who thinks he's nobody." This week, our pillar of joy is humility. This is the second in our series of 8 pillars of enduring joy, and they come from and they're inspired by this 5-day time that two really spiritual greats spent together, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Archbishop Desmond Tutu. They were celebrating actually the Dalai Lama's 80th birthday. And so there they are. I think that was probably when they were saying goodbye, and I just felt like it really it embodies their friendship and a bit of the humility the idea. So I just wanted to presence them here. When I said I was going to introduce them earlier, Annie was in the room and she said, "Wow, we've got a blockbuster day expected for all." So so as much as we can, we presence that energy and give thanks for it. So this work was actually, that interview, that time together, was recorded by Douglas Abrams in a book that he co-wrote with them called The Book of Joy. And the subtitle is important: Lasting Happiness in a Challenging World. that's what really drew me to this at this time, was to find the joy and to find our way to the joy. And who better to show us than these two individuals who have endured a lot of suffering on behalf of their own people. In the Dalai Lama's case, you probably know he's been exiled for 50 years plus from Tibet, his home country, and been living in Dharamsala, India, and also the Archbishop who's been at the forefront for so many decades of the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa. So they know a little bit about what it's like to suffer and yet to find joy, and they're very joyful beings. The Latin root for humility is hummus, not the dip. Maybe humus is a better way to say it, to distinguish that. And it means earth or soil, literally. Interestingly, the exact same root for the word human, earth or soil. So humility literally brings us back down to earth. It really, gives us sort of that check of who we are and what we're about as humans doing this walk. Archbishop Desmond Tutu tells the story of when he was in the midst of the anti-apartheid movement, which, is still in some ways going on, but really in the throes of it. And he was on a flight to Durban in South Africa, and he was stopped by someone as they were boarding the plane. This woman said, that she really, came up to him and asked for his autograph, essentially. And he said, I was trying to appear modest. I was trying to appear humble. He said, but I was thinking, man, she knows a good thing when she sees it. And so he took out his pen to sign this piece of paper that she wanted him to sign. And she said, now you are Bishop Muzorewa, is that correct? And of course, then he was humbled in that moment. So whoever exalts oneself will be humbled, the book of Matthew tells us, and whoever humbles oneself will be exalted. That's the path of our spiritual walk. The ego cares a lot about recognition. I'm sure we've all experienced that in our own experience of our own egos, and also in those of the people around us and in our world, and especially the superstars of our media, right? And so that longing, that recognition, that desire to be really puffed up, right, is part of what the ego does. The ego also will diminish itself. It also plays the game on the other end because it longs to be liked. And so in order to be liked, sometimes the ego will diminish itself in order to puff somebody else up, to make somebody else feel comfortable. But these games are not played in the presence of humility. That quality of humility just doesn't even go there. It's the antithesis of that kind of game playing, that kind of thing that just sort of takes, it just drains energy. It's not necessary, it's not helpful, and it's certainly not cultivating on our spiritual journey. And so when we find ourselves in those places, either diminishing or puffing up, we can just notice it and go, there's the ego at play. We don't have to make a big deal out of it. We don't have to get into critical mind. We can just say, I think I'm going to come back to earth. I think I'm going to come back to that root of both humanity and humility. So humility is it has so many different aspects that a lot of times when we investigate a quality like this, we look at what it isn't to really understand what it is. I was thinking about how comparison can really get in our way. Comparison, President Theodore Roosevelt said, is the thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy. I remember when I first heard that quote, or when it first really landed anyway, was a time when I really needed it most. Isn't it funny how that happens? That something comes into your purview when you really need it. It was 2013, and Brenly and I had just moved across the country from Columbia, Missouri to Santa Barbara, California. And I was all set to blaze my own ministry, to further develop my ministry of retreats and trips and just kind of to do some new things and different things. And, Santa Barbara, California is a little different than Columbia, Missouri. it's like a hotbed of spiritual teachers that are really well known, you know. And I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any client base. And so I would book something at a local retreat center, and there would my unknown name be next to Marianne Williamson's coming, or Matthew Fox is breezing through town, or here comes Mary Manon Morrissey, or, you know, Cynthia Bourgeois. You get it, right? And I just began to feel so deflated and kind of down on myself, like, oh, I'm never going to be able to compete. And, you know, and I was comparing myself. And this truly is the thief, the robber of our joy. Because it is who we are that is where we come into that truth, that beauty, that humbleness. And recognize that and allow that to be. We can only do ourselves, right? We cannot be someone else. And trying to compare and compete and struggle with our worth, it doesn't help us. And so when we give all that up, when we let that go, when we recognize the truth as finding ourselves, our own worth, our own path, our own gifts, and letting that be enough. You know, we don't have to be the best one, the Archbishop talks about. We don't have to be the best one, but we can be the one who is there, the one who has something to offer in that moment. And we all know that we can do that in any given time. So another trap that we tend to fall into, that humility actually helps release us from, is these traps of roles and status that we can get into. You know, once we've been given a title, we sort of are living up to that title. We're living under that title in a way, and sometimes that can get can mess us up a little bit in terms of this idea of humility, this idea of being earthbound, but yet, you know, pinning heaven to earth, right? To do that divine human walk that we all are on as we are on this spiritual journey. And so when we do that, we can easily, when we get caught up in roles and status, we can easily lose sight, you know, of who we really are. We can lose sight of our essence. We all matter. You know, we are all part of this great tapestry. We are all woven as one tapestry. And I like to think of ourselves as uniquely one, you know. In that tapestry metaphor, we are different colors, we are different textures, we are different shapes and expressions, yet we make one beautiful whole. And so it's not about dismissing our gifts. It's not about leaving our gifts behind. It's about bringing our gifts to the table. Often we confuse humility with being timid. We think that somehow to be humble is to pull back or to repress, but that's not it at all. That's not who we are. It's not about shrinking from our gifts. It's not about playing small. It's not about false modesty. None of those things are humility. None of those things are true humbleness. True humbleness acknowledges our gifts, owns our gifts, allows our gifts. It just doesn't make a big noise about it. You know, we don't have to be special or noticed or greater than or less than because of these gifts. We just allow them. As Margaret Mead once said, always remember that you are absolutely unique, just like everyone else. So in humility, we recognize that we are not special. We also recognize that I knew there was something wrong, and I had my notes in the wrong order. Because I wanted to tell you this story about the roles and the status. You know, the Dalai Lama tells this, like when he first began to teach, that he was thinking of himself as the Dalai Lama, right? Because he's the only one in the whole wide world. He's the only Dalai Lama. So he has all this to represent. And so when he was beginning to teach, that's the lens he was coming from. And it wasn't very fun or joyful, and it didn't feel very connecting. He said, now he realizes I'm just a human being, and I'm talking to other human beings, and I'm relating to other human beings. And of course, when we take that kind of humble approach and we get rid of the roles and the status, or we don't get rid of them, but we just don't allow them to take center stage, then we can relate to one another. We are relatable. We become relatable and connectable and real and human. And that's where we reach one another. I've noticed too that the best teachers are lifelong learners. The ones who really open themselves to the freshness of growth. There's actually a Tibetan saying that goes, when the spring bloom comes, where does it start? Does it start up on the hilltops? Or is it down in the valley? Because it is down in the valley. It is in the low places where we grow the most. So growth begins in these places, and if we remain humble, we remain a lifelong learner. We remain willing and open, always curious. We had our regional prayer chaplain training this weekend, and Charlie's behind the camera today. He was a part of that, and Annie, our production manager, was also a part of that. And we had 26 prayer chaplains on this all day Saturday and 3 hours on Friday. We were together doing this training, and I just, really feel a sense of honor for those who showed up. Of the 26 on the call, I think there were only 4 brand new prayer chaplains. And all the rest have been through the training at least one other time, some of them many, many times. Some of them have been serving for many years as prayer chaplains, and they were still willing to come for the good of the all, for the good of onboarding the new prayer chaplains, and because they came as lifelong learners. And we had such a beautiful time of connection. It just really was moving to behold the ways in which the wisdom in the room and the vulnerability and the sharing opened us all. And so that's humility, that willingness to be in the beginner's mind, to come again and again, even to the same material and say, there's always something here for me to learn. And so that integrity, I was just really bow to that, really. I was humbled by the presence of so many people who were in full integrity with that. That's what we do as in Beginner's Mind in this Earth School, right? We just keep coming as lifelong learners day after day after day. Humility frees us to see our part in the whole. And so we can see that while we have maybe an important part, it's a small part in the whole. It's a small part of that whole tapestry I was talking about, that oneness, that uniqueness that we bring to the table. In humility, we recognize this truth that we need one another, that we depend on one another. So whether we are the Dalai Lama or we are somebody begging on the street corner in India, whether we are the Archbishop or a Archbishop or we are a refugee, we all live and die. We are all born and die, and in those moments especially, we are so dependent on one another. But in the whole place between too, aren't we? When we are achieving, we depend on one another to collaborate, to share ideas. We come up with better things when we are in those kinds of teamwork ways of being with all the different backgrounds that are shared. And when we are failing, the support that we get is a part of that web that we create, that support team that helps us pick ourselves back up. And all along the way, hopefully, we continue to evolve. But knowing this, recognizing this truth that we are interdependent with one another, sometimes even that is a great movement of humility for some of us. Especially in our society, because our Western society, our culture has been built on, in many ways, this idea of rugged individualism, especially American rugged individualism, right? It's something we value and we have traditionally valued, but we can see how that's falling away now. We can see how as we evolve as a people, that there is a deep longing for unition, there is a deep longing for community and togetherness. Big teaching of this pandemic, I think, is that recognition of how much we depend on each other, how much we need each other. So maybe that old bravado, that old image of sort of the John Wayne is falling away, and that might feel a little emasculating for all of us, because we all have an inner masculine, right? So male and female alike. But don't worry about that, because something better and bigger is coming into its place. That sacred masculine and that divine feminine together, interwoven within us and dancing between us, that creates something better. And then the hero becomes, or the heroine becomes, the indigenous person who's been teaching from the very beginning about interdependence, about how we need each other and we must take care of and rely upon the earth. And so all of that is coming into the fore, I think, during this time. It's a lesson in humility for some of us, and maybe all of us, and it's okay. Because we can see how humility brings us to where we need to be, grounded, founded once again. And it is indeed a window to our joy. Because it's more fun when we do things together, isn't it? It's definitely more fun. We have Grace visiting us today. You'll see her in a little bit. And it's always more fun when she's at our house. She brings joy. There's a new dynamic. There's that intergenerational thing that goes on that is magic. And without each other, we don't experience that. So it is together that we move forward, recognizing that we all, like I said, are uniquely one, that we bring our gifts to the table, and that table is the whole, right? All of us around that table together. So that timidity that we often confuse humility with is not a reality that we need to be concerned with. In humility, when we recognize that we are not special, that's always a big one. I remember the first time I said that out loud at a Unity church. Actually, it was back at Unity of Columbia. And that just sort of hung in the air. And I could hear this sort of audible gasp, like, oh, like, what do you mean I'm not special? It seems like in Unity, we're always telling ourselves how special we are and each other, how special we are. And I even said it out loud to Grace yesterday, and she kind of did one of those, children, what? You don't tell your children they're not special. But it's important to follow that with the fullness of that sentence. We are not special, we are essential. It's not a dividing, it's not a lifting up and bringing down. It's not that game of ego. In humility, it's a recognition that we are all significant, that we all play an important, absolutely essential part in the whole. That's what humbleness understands. We are all a blessing to the world. Let's take a pause and listen to this song and be reminded of that truth.
blessing to the world. It's a blessing to the world.
Namaste. That is the Hindu expression of the divine in me honors the divine in you. It's one of the greatest expressions, I think, of humility, of humbleness, is our recognition of the divinity within us. When we realize that we are entrusted to be the divine on earth, that we have been given the gift of divinity to share, to be the hands and the feet of God itself in the world, that's a pretty humbling thing to take in. When we realize that we're here to serve that one, and we do that by serving each one, that is humbleness. One of my favorite places at Unity Village is a place called the Chapel in the Woods. And I found myself years ago, it's actually kind of a humble setup. It has just beams of an outline of a building. So there's, open walls and open ceiling, and then just a platform, just a deck, basically, and it's nestled in the woods, hence Chapel in the Woods. And it was a place I used to like to go to when I was living on campus or nearby. And, I had gone through a long period of grief and just wasn't really sure what was for me to do in ministry, yet I felt this deep calling. I knew that there was something I was meant to do. And I found myself on my knees in that chapel in the woods, like hearkening back to the old days in the Lutheran church when we actually prayed on our knees. But yet that position and that openness and that surrendered position in prayer and the open-heartedness and the longing and the desire that was so present there in my heart is exactly the kind of position that we can find ourselves in humility that brings forth then the answers, that brings forth the light. I kind of imagine all of us on that platform at this time in our world. I see us actually on our knees, surrendered in prayer with our eyes and our arms open and our hearts open, and there's this deep longing. There's this deep longing to get back to what we know is right and true and humane and divine. There's a deep longing to unite amongst people. And we all know that we have a part to play in that. And that part, that forward motion, I think that future for us as a humanity is paved with humility. That's the key. It's one of these pillars that we move forth with, and it will really bring us, I think, truly to joy. This pillar of joy saves us from our darker selves. It saves us from our smaller selves, and it allows us to move past those things that fill our experiences right now. The misinformation, the manipulation, the oppression, the violence, all those things that feel so heavy right now. I think we're not through it yet. We're not through the woods yet, but the path is being made clearer. And humility is one of those things that we pick up along the way and we realize, yeah, this one's really important. So our part will be revealed in divinely ordered time. But it's an honor, isn't it, to show up and to do our part, to know that we have been called, that we are absolutely essential. So let's take this simple affirmation that I sort of embedded a little while ago in the talk and bring it forth and work with it together throughout the week. That I am not special, I am essential. Let's say it together. I am not special, I am essential. Namaste.
It's a beautiful message today. Thank you. So whether you have a joy or concern on your heart today, our prayer chaplains are available to provide prayer support during our virtual patio conversation after the service. You may contact them by completing a connection card on the Watch Live page or click on prayer requests at the bottom of the home page. And our prayer team will be praying with you throughout the week.
Oh. Now let's open our hearts to the practice of giving, and we give thanks for all the givers, for the continued generosity in our ministry. I invite you to prepare your gifts if you would like to do that right now, and we align as we do so with the universal law of circulation. As we give, so we receive. Even if you're giving electronically, you can just take a moment to drop in and to recognize that truth, to remember that lack and limitation have no place in our consciousness, that abundance is our true nature.
In addition to sending checks through the regular mail or direct deposit from your bank, there are 2 ways to give online. You may click on the Donate button on the Watch Live page or download the Give app. Give is spelled G-Y-V-E.
I invite you to repeat the prosperity affirmation with me. This is really, truly a beautiful prayer. Let's say it together. Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful.
Talking about, yeah, you should listen to me, yes sir, I know what I'm talking about, even got a PhD, but life don't turn out like I think it should, well being a know-it-all, it don't do me no good, that's when I say, oh Lord, please help me, see thy will be done, and I say, Lord have mercy on my soul, I've been guilty of believing again, Lord, that I know it all. Thinking things are going wrong when they don't go my way. Help me, Lord, to see your guiding hand in every day. So when that traffic light turns red as you're speeding down the road, folks don't do the things they should and it heavies up your load. When I don't get the mate I thought was surely right for me, help me with some vision, Lord, I'm trying hard to see. And I'll say, Lord, have mercy on my soul. I've been guilty of believing again, Lord, that I know it all. Thinking things are going wrong when they don't go my way. Help me, Lord, to see your guiding hand in every day. When your best laid plans, they land you right into a jam. And you get all riled up and you wanna scream out, God,
Hold your tongue, boy.
remember it's him who's got the plan and it's you who needs a clue. Help me understand your plan and place my trust in you. And I'll say, Lord, have mercy on my soul. I've been guilty of believing again, Lord, that I know it all. The thinking things are going wrong when they don't go my way. Help me, Lord, to see your guiding hand in every day. Well, I hope that you can help me help myself to see the truth. I really don't know how the world should be, well, that's best left up to you. I need to see your hand in every twist and every turn, guiding me to where my spirit grows and I can learn. And I'll say, Lord, have mercy on my soul. I've been guilty of believing again, Lord, that I know it all. Thinking things are going wrong, but they don't go my way. Help me, Lord, to see your guiding hand in above below to see your guiding hand in every Thank you.
Well, big heartfelt thank you to Starlight, Lisa, and John for providing music for us today. And now as we bless our offerings, we bless both the giver and the gift, knowing that the blessings are multiplied. Let's do that together. Let's bless our offering and those who are giving today. We give thanks for the ever-increasing, constant flow of absolute good in our lives now.
And let's bless our frontline workers, activists, and our firefighters. Frontline workers, activists, and firefighters, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divine light within you.
So you might have noticed that Grace is with us today. Grace Adora Hyder, we are so happy to have you with us. Will you tell us a little bit about what you did on your Zoom call?
Well, at the end of the class, we drew a picture of the ocean, different creations.
Ooh, I didn't see your picture yet. That's cool.
Because I haven't finished it.
How fun. And you did that because Michelle's at the ocean, right?
I think so.
Yeah, she and her family are in New Jersey doing the Zoom youth ministry call from there.
And Maddie and Millie's cousin was there too.
Ah, fun. Well, do you want to lead our blessing today?
Let's bless our children, youth, and teachers.
All right, together.
Children,
Youth, children, and teachers. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you,
and we behold the divine light within you.
Please join us in our prayer of protection, and as we do, we hold all of us in the world in our hearts and minds. Together, the light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine.
Stick around until the end of the service. We have community member selfies that you won't want to miss, and we need more. So please send your selfies or your silent waving videos to office@unityofwalnutcreek.org. And now our peace song.
Present
You are the light and the love.
And the peace on earth right now.
So let your light shine.
Have fun and spread joy.
Yeah, I am a light. I am a light in this world. In this world, I am a light. I am a light in this world. In this world, this is the place. This is the time. Let it shine. Let it shine. I see the joy. I see the joy in this world. In this world, I see the joy. I see the joy in this world. In this world, this is the place. This is the time. Let it shine. Let it shine. I'm living love every day. 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 Spreading peace along the way. Spreading peace along the way. Right time, right place. Living love every day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah. Right time, right place. Living love every day. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light in this world. In this world. In this world. In this world. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light in this world. In this world. In this world. In this world. This is the place. This is the place. This is the time. This is the time. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. This is the place. This is the time. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
Bye.